The Leash, an original short story by Jared I. McGee. My friends had always given me shit about my dog. He was a lily white Lhasa Apso poodle mix, and his name was Flummix. Flummy for short. Yeah, dorky name for an already decidedly frou-frou pooch. I get that all the time. His name is Flummix because that happened to be a word I was obsessed with at my 10th birthday when the little guy came bounding around a corner in my home, big bow around his neck and everything, in a well-timed birthday party surprise for me. As for the breed, there are threefold reasons for why I was gifted this particular brand of canine. Number 1, we were poor and could only get a pound puppy. He was what was available at that point in time in Strawberry Hill, Kentucky. Number 2, we were poor, so feeding a bigger beast would be difficult. Little tummy meant less cost. Number 3, I really do prefer small dogs. 10-year-old me didn't know this yet, of course, but current me does. From their easier cleanup to the ease with which you can lug them around, the little ones are for me. I often equate men needing the bigger, bolder breeds to feel like real men to sports cars, overpriced watches, and the like. I don't need a literal bigger responsibility just so I can feel a bit more macho. I'm good with my little frou-frou, thank you very much. Flummy is quite well trained on top of being heartbreakingly adorable. He can do all the tricks one usually asked of a dog. Roll over, speak, lie down, shake hands, dance on his back paws, sleep. Well, the last one was what I had labeled play dead. I didn't feel comfortable constantly asking my best friend to feign his death time and time and time again. It seemed too macabre for my tastes. In addition to those tired old tricks, Flummy was great at all the things one wants a dog to be great at. He didn't bark unless something was really, truly wrong. In which case, I knew damn well that I'd better figure out why he was barking, ensuring we weren't in any danger. He never, ever had accidents in the house. House training a little guy had been almost an afterthought. He just sort of knew what to do right out of the gate. He never chewed anything but treats and toys. He never failed to fetch when it came time to play. He never wanted to play when it was time to sleep. He would cuddle up and sleep on the couch or in the bed with me, but he never presumed that he would be allowed on either piece of furniture and would never jump up uninvited. I could go on for ages like this, but the bottom line really was that he was a fantastic little dog. That's what made his refusal to go outside to use the bathroom before bed one January evening all the more odd. It was just utterly out of character for him. I went to the side door right beside my bedroom and I put his leash on him that was connected to a concrete block outside, so I could open the door and let him run relatively free. He had never run away, mind you, but I knew that we had far too many creatures darting about in the evenings for Flummy to always succeed in fighting his inborn drives to chase them forever. So the leash was a precaution I thought logical. It would save him and me a headache in some future running episode. Even after I had clicked the leash into place, he kept backing away from the door, whining and pulling to the point of choking himself. A true oddity indeed. A first time. I tried pulling him back from his little leash, but the little leash seemed to tug back a notch, at which Flummy let out a yipe and continued to scratch and scrape and back away from the door. My mind began to swirl a bit, confused at what the leash might be getting hung up on. There was so much undergrowth out near the side of our house, surely this was what was causing the issue with the leash. Rather than open the door, though, I decided to try to tug the leash that was going out of the, for now, locked door without opening our home up to the harshness of the January winds. To free the leash, I unclasped it from Flummy's collar so I could give it some good pulling. The pup ran for the bedroom and hid under the bed. Again. First time. Oddity indeed. Tug, tug. It gave a little, so I did it again. Tug, tug. Then a tug, tug came back. I dropped the leash. my stomach lurched and swirled and threatened to come up beyond my throat into my mouth and onto the floor. What the hell could that be? My God, had I almost sent little Flummox out into the night to be ravaged by some fox or bear or coyote or some such? I felt terrible at not trusting my little companion enough. He'd never led me astray about much of anything, and goodness knew he was not anything resembling a drama queen. I decided to get my baseball bat to scare whatever animal had the leash away, my rifle being packed away at my new girlfriend's insistence. She was afraid of guns and did not like having mine too terribly accessible. Silly to this country boy, but what one does in the pursuit of love often runs counter to one's own desires and logic. With bat in hand, I picked the leash back up, still running underneath the still closed door, and I gave it one last big tug, preparing myself to head outside into the cold to yell and hoop and holler this would-be puppy predator away. Tug, tug. The tug came back swiftly. The leash whizzed and zipped as it flew under the door, ending with a loud crack as the end of the leash hit the door, unable to go under with the rest of the lead. I did not have time to react to that as a huge thud came to the door. The heavy wood rattled in its frame and the hinges shivered. I fell backwards, my body beginning to shake of its own accord. Something about all of this felt off, and something about the slam to that door screamed of something much larger than me being behind it. Flummy had stopped whining now and was just petrified and wild-eyed beneath my bed. I ran into my bedroom, closing and locking the additional set of doors as the other door continued to bump and creak and shiver against the assailment of the whatever it was outside. I did the only thing I knew to do. I grabbed the little dog, grabbed my bat, and grabbed my Bible, jumping into my bed well away from the one window that was in my room. Nothing stirred near my bedroom, but the noises from the side door just outside of the room did not cease. If anything, they continued to grow more and more intense. I began to read the Bible loudly, sprinkling my own entreaties in among the verses that I'd neglected for far too long for a good Southern boy. The dog shook violently. I shook violently. I awoke the next morning to find that the world was alight with the winter sun. Flummy was not acting normal, but he certainly wasn't scared in the way that he was the night before. The outside of the door had been ravaged. The hedges had been smashed. My eyes teared up upon seeing it. What unnatural thing had come to us that night? The leash itself was frayed and shredded. No small task, seeing that the thing was heavy-duty plastic with metal inside for maximum strength. I felt the bile begin to rise into my throat again. I did the math. 7 hours until sunset. Flummy simply whined and looked into the woods, expectantly. Thank you for listening to The Leash. The sounds you are hearing even now, and have heard through the entire story, are Tibetan singing bowls. The track of these bowls was uploaded to freesound.org by user The Very Real Horst, and is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 Unported license. That does it for Prose this week. I certainly hope that you've enjoyed the tales, and I look forward to sharing even more fun fictional frolicking with you next week. Until then, go out and live a few new epic stories of your own. Goodbye for now.